Welcome, everyone, to the Let's Get Vulnerable podcast. I have a very, very special guest with me here today, Heather Larsen. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Heather is a graduate of the Empowered.Secure.Loved.Program, and she is so well loved by our community, and our coaches have raved about you, Heather. And I'm just so excited to have you here so you can share your story. I know that there's things that our audience is really going to relate to. So thank you for being vulnerable, for being here. It means the world to me. I wanted to start with a little intro, just so you know a little bit about Heather. So Heather is a compassionate and creative woman. She's balancing her career as a social worker with her hobbies. She has a beloved senior beagle who's 14 named Ruthie, and she lives in Seattle, where she has plenty of opportunities to explore her interests in pottery, painting, and traveling. Awesome, Heather. I know I was talking to you about having a senior dog. My golden doodle just turned 12.
Oh,
And it's one of those things where you go, wow, I just want to give you so much love and attention and do all the things because, we know that their time is limited and it can kind of break our hearts. And I have to remind myself to have a secure attachment to my golden doodle, because if I'm not careful, I'll get very anxiously attached to him.
I know. And it's so hard when you're trying to travel and balance. And it's like, I want to travel, but I also don't want to leave you. And
Yeah. It is. But I love that we both have senior dogs. It's very special. Heather, tell us, you graduated in November of 20. Give me a little bit of background on where were you before the program? What was life like before you found us?
Yeah. I was in a lot of really, really rough relationships in my 20s and early 30s. Right before I joined the program, I was in a long-term on and off again relationship where just my needs were not being met. But, with, learning through the program that it was repetition compulsion to try to just get somebody to choose you, and you just keep trying and keep trying. And it's just it's futile. So, but I was just at a point where I'm like, this isn't working. And I'm not happy in my life. I'm not happy in my career. I'm not happy with the choices I'm making. And I wanted to make a change. And I think the big catalyst was in 2022, my mom passed away unexpectedly, and kind of shook up my whole world. And the earth falls before your feet, and you're just rethinking everything in your life, and you're like, this is not the life I want. And I was listening to your program for a few years at this point, and I just decided to just jump in and really work on myself.
Yeah, you were sharing with me before we started recording that you've been listening to the podcast since 2020.
Yeah, and I go back and listen to the old ones too, and they're so relevant.
I love that. And it sounds like you were realizing I'm not where I want to be in my career, in my relationships, and being in an on again, off again relationship. I know what that's like, where you're going, well, I don't think this is what I want, but it's kind of meeting some needs. It's kind of taking up some space in my life. What do you think it was that kind of kept you in that place of staying in that relationship?
I think once you're with somebody for so long, you have that and that dynamic of the trauma bonding, and they're and it's hard because you see them as your best friend because you're just so enmeshed together. But also, you're realizing okay, I've asked for my needs to be met this many, over and over again, and there's no meeting anybody halfway, and there's no talking about anything. There's no real growth in the relationship, and that's and 5 years in, you're like, what am I doing? We're not growing. You're not growing individually. I'm not growing individually. I want to grow as a couple, and that's not happening.
I like what you said about asking for needs to get met and then realizing it's not happening, because I think so many of us will ask And then we just kind of make up excuses as to why it's not happening. And we go, oh, but they have XYZ going on in their life, or they are experiencing a mental health issue, or they had a really traumatic childhood. There's so many ways that we can justify not getting our needs met, instead of saying, hey, I've identified my needs. They're clear. They're not getting met. And the reality is that even though I've asked for it, it's not changing. So I need to end the relationship, right? Like, I think this is a very common trap we get sucked into. And then below the surface is repetition compulsion, which you already kind of mentioned.
100%.
Explain that. So, yeah, let's just dive into it. Like, what did that mean for you, understanding repetition compulsion and seeing your patterns through that lens?
Well, I think you fall into the trap of choosing, an an avoidantly attached individual, because I had some anxious attachment, had a lot of anxious attachment, and you add in the father wounds, and you're like a moth to a flame. You're like, I'm gonna fix you, and I'm gonna be there for you, and like my needs don't matter, and it just feels comfortable because that's how you grow up, and that your needs don't matter, and you bring that into a relationship, and it's just terrible. And you go in with this hope that like, oh, this will be different this time, but it's not.
Yeah.
And then it's just on you to do the work, and to end the situation, the relationship, any friendships that aren't serving you anymore.
Yeah. I love that you said that, like a moth to the flame. And I think in the title, repetition compulsion, there's a reason why compulsion is the second word. It's because it's not intentional. It's not something that we're consciously deciding. It is a compulsion. It's an unconscious pull to repeating this relationship dynamic of, okay, you're emotionally unavailable, but I'm going to get you. I'm going to get you to choose me this time. And then unconsciously we go, okay, if I can get this person, then that makes up for everything I experienced in my past. Then I'll be good enough. Then I'll be worthy of love, right?
Yeah. It's so painful to just go over that and over that again. And I think, in therapy, and then through, the coaching and the program, I realized that in my, growing up, to try to connect with my father, I was trying, I was like, oh, he's into sports, I'm going to watch all the sports games with him. So as an adult, or growing up, you're like, oh yeah, I like all these things. And you're like, okay, but there's more to me than that. Like, and the guys I'm choosing are not wanting to see that. Or I'm trying to, oh, I'm going to throw myself into their hobbies, or, what they want. And then that'll like make them choose me. And that's just not.
Yeah. That false belief of becoming the chameleon, of how can I become like you, and then you'll like me, and then you won't abandon me, because we can become codependent, right? There's like that desire of sort of merging identities. And then you can say, who is Heather, right? Like, who is Heather really? Tell me about like actually doing that work, and I think specifically the repetition compulsion part of the program, where you're writing letters. What was that like for you?
It was very, very painful, and especially the like when I kind of got through all the letters to my exes, the letter to young Heather was the most painful one, because you're finally seeing your younger self as they are, and what their needs were not met, and what happened to them wasn't okay, and you're trying to be there for them, and see, it's wild. It's a very wild experience. And yeah, writing, it brings up it just brings up all the emotions, and you see the patterns while you're writing the letters. You're like, okay, well, this wasn't safe, and this wasn't safe, and this wasn't safe, and you're like, well, what was safe in my life growing up in relationships? And it's really hard to look at, but
Yeah.
overall, so healing.
I love that you said that, because I think if we try to say that healing is all rainbows and butterflies and just manifest your life by writing out exactly what you want. And, it's like that's not the true story of what it is to really heal. And the fact is that there is this willingness to look at your past, to actually allow yourself to feel the pain, for you to connect to young Heather and sit with what were the things that weren't safe for her, what was she missing. Like that's painful to do. And at the same time, we know that when you're willing to feel the pain, then you can save yourself from that lifetime of suffering.
It's just it doesn't end. Like I'm still doing work. Like you're not. It doesn't end.
That
There's no like I'm done. I'm done with this and I'm moving on. And like it's always with you, but it's just it doesn't control you. And you can just welcome your emotions and just kind of.
You have the awareness now. You can choose differently now. I do want to get more into like what's different for you, but before we do that, I'm always fascinated by this question, which is, do you remember what your old beliefs were? Your old beliefs about yourself and your old beliefs about relationships? Any that you remember?
Oh yeah. Like my needs don't matter. Like this is just I'm just settling for like, that's good enough. Like, it's fine. And you just keep telling yourself that like, they're here. So like, they haven't left me yet. So that's good. And it's not good. The other, yeah, it's really painful to think about, to be honest.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it doesn't like, you're not like, I'm not worthy of love. And, I'm not like this. I'm not good enough.
And it's such a core belief for so many people that we don't even realize that we're carrying around. And I think just you being able to identify those and realize, wow, this was at the root of so many things, the root of how you're showing up and the way you're talking to yourself, obviously, and obviously then doing the work in the program to shift those, to let them go, because they're false, they're lies, they're based on past relational trauma, they're not true. So being able to actually let those go. What are some of your new empowering beliefs that you have now?
Like, I'm not too much and I can ask for what I want, and it's, I'm reasonable. Like my needs matter and my voice matters. And just like the people I've come into my life since then, and like, just the conversations I've had, and it's just been amazing. Like I just, like I'm worth it and I'm choosing myself. And that looks like, I joined a fitness program starting in last October, and I've like been doing that consistently since then, and like just finding, what makes me me and what I need to do to keep the balance in my life.
I love that you brought this up of how it can really change our behaviors and also our relationships. And I mean, it sounds like for you, it just feels like you're more connected to who Heather really is. And you're doing things that feel good to you. Like you're connected to what your needs are.
100%. And I feel like I never really, even sometimes now it's hard to like pinpoint how I'm feeling, because when you're growing up in that and you're like in these relationships, you don't ever ask yourself how you're feeling. It's always how the other person's feeling. How are you feeling? What do you need? What do you need from me? Like my needs don't matter. So when you're, like, oh, I really enjoy this, or I feel good when I do this, or it's just wonderful to be able to put yourself first and your needs first, and to be like, oh, I'm gonna focus on how I'm feeling in dating, and not that I don't care how the other person's feeling, but it's not my priority. I want to see how I'm feeling here.
I love that. You have a voice.
Yeah.
You have a voice, you have needs, you're able to take up space. How beautiful is that? That's so important. I'm curious, I ask everybody this who goes through the program. Was there like a specific moment as you were doing the work, or if you had to pinpoint some of your biggest breakthroughs, what would that be for you?
Definitely my conversations with Kathleen, one of your one of your amazing coaches.
Oh, Kathleen.
Yeah.
Coach Kathleen. Everyone loves Kathleen. I love her. She's amazing.
But just like that, I was, realizing like I'm thinking logically, and that's not you can't think logically in certain situation, because just because you understand why someone did something doesn't mean it was make it okay. And that was huge for me.
Captain Pause. We have to say that again.
Just because you understand why someone did something doesn't make it.
Oh, so many people need to hear that, right? That there's been so many people that are in their head and they're justifying things in a logical way without that love and compassion for your emotional self and the reality of your emotional experience. So good. Okay, what else? That was such a gem. We had to bring that home to the audience. But
yeah, it was so just getting out of your head and into your body, to, because like, oh, I'm logical, I'm doing all these things and everything is, but that's not how healing works, and that's not how, and like, just because you understand why somebody's doing something does not mean the way they're treating you or the way they're behaving is okay. Doing, the relationship inventory and just seeing the amount of unsafe relationships that I grew up with and that followed me into my 30s, and it's super painful to just go through on the list and say, yeah, that wasn't safe, and trying to find the relationships that were, and there weren't very many for me.
I remember seeing you in our private Facebook group about that, and I think just the whole awareness of there's grieving there for a lot of us when we realize, wow, I didn't have the safe, emotionally validating relationships that I needed. Did you experience grieving around that?
Oh yes, and I still, am in some way, because you see people who are like in like really healthy marriages and like have like, even for example, like my friends, Christmas I spent with my lovely best friend and sister, and her kids, and I'm just like, and it hurts a little bit because you didn't have that. You didn't have the family that was there for you, but you're like I was surrounded by love and I was so happy to be there with them. But it's just also you're grieving for your younger self.
Self. And at the same time, how empowering that you're saying, well, hey, even though I didn't have that, I want to go create that for myself now. Holding the duality of both of those things. They're both true at the same time.
And then I'm grieving the time lost. Like, I've spent, I think we've all spent time in relationships that, we shouldn't have. And I hate saying that, but it is, you're grieving part of, your identity and like, what you could have been doing else or whatever. But like, you can't focus on that too much because there's so much else out there.
We can't judge our emotional experience, right? If there can be some grieving, and then we get to say, okay, well, how do I reframe this as I was learning what it is I don't want, right? And being able to then release it. But we can't just say, oh, you shouldn't feel sad about that, because then what does the brain do? The brain holds on to it even more.
Yeah.
So learning that process that you talked about with Kathleen of like learning how to validate your emotional experience.
It's so easy with being high functioning, like, and anxious, and like just to like, oh, I'm fine, everything's fine, and like not process that, like, no, things aren't fine, and this is how far I've come, and I've accomplished all of this, and it's hard to like take onus of that and then embrace it.
Yeah. And especially being in social work, being someone who, it's like you understand a lot of things logically, how things work, etc. I think being able to say, but hey, your experience is valid, right? Like your emotions are valid. Your emotions deserve to be felt, especially too with women who are career driven, or you're so giving in your career. A lot of times we just use that as a way to avoid holding space for ourselves.
Yeah, holding space for yourself is very uncomfortable sometimes, and needed, but it is painful too.
Yes, and it sounds like you really learned how to do that.
Yeah, I definitely checking on myself multiple times a day and just, and what do I need? How am I feeling? Journaling and just the during my coaching sessions, I would take so many notes and going back to that and, those
Good.
insights, and just like, it's just like, yeah, it's just hard to like articulate because it's just night and day between when I started and where I am.
I love that so much. It sounds like you've really built a healthy relationship with yourself.
Yes, yes, definitely. I can definitely say I'm like so much more confident in all areas of my life. And I'm more likely to make choices based on like what I'm feeling and what I want instead of everybody else's needs, and putting myself
Well,
first.
good. And tell me, how has this changed your dating life? So what's different in dating now?
My confidence has been just it's gone like way up, and before I wouldn't really like talk to people out, or I mean, it's Seattle and like it's hard to talk to people anyway, but and I'm comfortable like just meeting people out and like having conversations, like making those connections, and not taking things personally when like in the early stages of dating. We talk about a lot of episodes on this, and I love the episodes on pacing, early relationship pacing, but like rejection is redirection, as you say, and they don't really even know you, so it's hard to, and you don't even know them, so there's really nothing to take personally. And in my dating since then, so I was dating somebody for a few months, and I was like, I'm not really feeling great. I don't really, I'm not, this isn't for me. Like, nothing's wrong with them, like they're a great person, it's just not for me. In the past, I would have held on to that for dear life and just be like, oh, it's this is fine. But now I was like able to make the choice to be honest, like, yeah, I'm not gonna pursue this anymore, and that's fine. Wish you the best, but I'm able to kind of make the choice and see what was a good fit for you and what's not.
I love this. Empowered, right? Like being able
Yes.
to say, like, intentional, I'm gonna spend time on this, or I'm not gonna spend time on this. And you can gather the data on somebody more quickly and just make those decisions more quickly.
Yes. Gathering. I love the gathering data. That helped me a lot. Like me kind of dating again after the last relationship and just feeling so secure and, like in your choices and who you are. And not everybody's going to be for you. And that can be discouraging, but you're finding you're weeding through the people who aren't for you. And there's nothing, and, not to say anything about anybody else. Like they're great. They're just not for you. And, that's okay.
Yeah, it sounds like your dating mindset is really good, which is important because if we go into dating with a scarcity mindset, or we're not feeling confident, or we're so annoyed and we just want it to be done and we're so sick of the apps, and if we go into it with that mindset, then we don't get good results, right? So being able to show up with a healthy mindset and where you're at, that's everything. And hopefully you're even enjoying it a bit. Are you enjoying it?
Yes, I've been seeing somebody for a few months now, and it's
Oh,
going really well. And it's nobody talks about how great, but also like super uncomfortable it is to be in a secure relationship after being in some toxic relationships, because there's no, it's the can't think of the word, the
effective emotional experience.
yeah, just, or like the burst or something.
Oh, the extinction bursts.
Yeah, or you're just like craving, like the chaos, but you're not
Yeah.
used to like your nervous system isn't used to like, oh, okay, like we can have conversations and it's fine, and like and like things are secure and I don't need to like freak out all the time, and it's just been really great. So
I love that. I love that. I was just thinking that there should be some episodes on that, but I'm going to make a note. I'll send you some, but I know that it's so true when our norm has been emotionally unavailable or chaos or even toxic relationships, when that's been our norm, and then we're experiencing a secure relationship, it's like the brain is going, "Wait, you want me to associate love with a regulated nervous system?"
exactly.
It can feel really jarring, and you can almost be looking for, you're like, well, what's something that could set me off, right? Like what's something that could
Yes.
start the chaos?
I know a few episodes ago you had Sabrina Sohar on your podcast, and like I follow her, and then I saw her on your episode. I was like, oh, that's great, like two of my favorite podcasters. But she has a story about like her current boyfriend that like she was like gonna end it, and like I've had similar thoughts early on, because you're not used to being in a secure relationship, and you're not used to feeling that way, and it's uncomfortable.
And you are continuing to show up, and the beautiful thing is you're aware of it. Like you're aware of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. For anyone listening, I mean, some of the best things you can do is just what we're talking about here, which is where you're aware of it, you recognize feeling that way, and then really using self-compassion and anything that you can to regulate your nervous system, and remind yourself that it's safe to receive love. I remember in the beginning stages of my relationship now, where I'm incredibly happy, but I had to really sit myself down multiple times and just remind myself it's safe to receive love. And I can experience secure attachment. I don't need to create chaos. If I want chaos, I can go watch some reality TV. If I want an adrenaline hit, I can go on a trip somewhere. Because like I think we're used to getting certain things from our relationships, but it's like, hey, what if you decide to associate safety, stability, emotional support, like creating new things that you associate with your romantic relationship?
Yeah, and even just listening to how, like, or just listening to your body, and like how I feel with this person. Like I feel safe, and like there's a couple of people I was dating that I was anxious the whole time, and I'm like, this isn't what I want. I don't want this. And in the past, like I said, I would have hold on to them longer, or have after the breakup just like fixated on it for a long time. But that's but now I'm like, okay, that didn't work out. So it's the abundance mindset, and just doing, like, just continuing to do the work, and to recognize and course adjust as
Yes.
needed.
Yes, to do the realignment into allow yourself to receive, continuing to do identity work. That's one thing we didn't talk about. What was the morning alignment practice like for you? Like how has that been? The identity piece.
It's definitely it evolves, like you change it as it goes, but it's a great guide to see how how far I've come, but also where are my priorities right now, and where am I seeing myself in the future, and just being able to look at that every day and say, what am I doing today to get to this version of myself.
I love it. Yeah, just kind of that constant reminder, the realignment with your highest and best self. I love hearing that. I want to ask you, because your story is really inspiring. You've obviously done a lot of work on yourself. You're continuing to do the work. You've been dating somebody for a few months and it's going well. So I know it's so inspiring to people listening who can relate to where you were at the beginning, right? Where you're putting everybody else first and not getting the results you want in your dating life. What would you say to someone who's like back where old Heather was, who's feeling really stuck? Like, what would you want them to know?
I want them to know that, like, things can change so fast, and like, I'm not where I was a year ago, and I hope that everybody is growing, from where they are from a year ago. But just take the time and to do the work, and to surround yourself by like the people who are there, who are cheering you on, because those are the people that are going to be with you through the hard times, and when you're feeling all of the emotions, and you're just through the breakups, through the grief, and giving you the tough love, and you need tough love.
Oh, I love that you said that, because I know you talked about Kathleen giving you tough love when you needed it.
And I just, in dating, like, and it's like a 180, because what you said before, like, slow is fast, and like it took me a really long time to wrap my head around it, and now I'm like, oh, that's how it's going. So there's so much wisdom in that.
I love that. I love that so much. And I think sometimes people will hear that. They'll say, okay, I get it. I'm supposed to go slow. But then their nervous system and their attachment system doesn't allow them to go slow. Like no matter how much they logically think it.
Mm-hmm.
And then that all that is a sign that you need to do deeper work that is then going to allow you to go slow. Right? Because I knew I was supposed to go slow in the past. I was like, okay, I'm supposed to take things slow, but my attachment system, the the nervous system dysregulation, my repetition compulsion, all of that, it would never let me go slow.
No, yeah, and you're just always like spiraling, and so the self-sabotage kicks in, and it's like, I love when you said a few episodes ago about the Tommy Boy scene, because like that's how I describe it to my friends, and I was like, oh, she's validating me, because that's how it is. Like you're just holding on to something for dear life, and that's
Yeah. Yes, squeeze the bird. Yes.
yeah.
Yep. Well, this has been so good. I do want to ask you, so if there's anyone who is on the fence about doing the program and this work specifically, what would you say to them?
I would say just sign up for the call with one of the coaches, and ask the question you need to ask. But it's an investment in your future. It's an investment in yourself. It's just, and the community is of women inside the Facebook group. It's just incredible and life changing. So you're worth it, and you should definitely take the next step to work on yourself more, because if you're not growing, then you're not, then what are you doing?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
love that. If you're not growing, what are you doing? Absolutely. Yeah. So good. And I think it's true. We have a call with our program advisors, and it's a great place to just get all your questions answered. And it's a really in-depth interview, isn't it? Like they want to know about where you're at, where you want to be. And we're really particular about who we actually have join the program. So I mean, if we think that there's something that would suit you better, we always tell you on that call. So it's just a really open, honest discussion. Um, it's vulnerable, isn't it, Heather? I'm like, I know that those calls can be a lot, but they're just so beneficial. Even just the call itself is really helpful.
Oh yeah, and you have to, and you're engaging, and we're engaging if you're ready to do the work. And I think when I first connected with you in 2020, I wasn't ready yet, but I still was like, I want to, but I wasn't ready. And then I was like, 2023, and you had that trigger, and you're like, I'm ready. It's like, I think everybody gets to that point where you're sick of like just being in just terrible relationships, and you deserve better. You
Yeah.
deserve better. You hear the voice in your head, and you're like, this is I need something.
It's so
I need to
true.
work on myself.
So true. And I know that there's people listening to this episode today who've kind of been on the fence. And I just want to invite you that if this has resonated with you, if Heather's story has inspired you, now is the time. You can book a call with the program advisor. There's a link in the show notes. It's super easy. Heather, I know you inspired so many people today by sharing your story.
Thank you. I'm glad I was able to be here for you and for everybody. And yeah, I just can't speak highly enough about how much it's changed my life. I recommend your podcast to everybody.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Is there anything else that you want to share? Maybe something that you're looking forward to as you continue to grow and heal? Anything else?
Yeah, I'm just looking forward to seeing, how my life progresses, and seeing the fruits of my labor of like, doing the fitness program, and like doing work into, my grief, my little Heather, supporting her, and also like, exploring this new relationship, and, where things are going, and just ready for summer and traveling. And I just went to a Tahoe rainforest this past weekend, so
fun.
Yeah.
So your partner likes to travel too?
Yes.
Good. I love that.
Yeah, I'm very excited. We have like a ton of things planned for now. Coming up. So yeah, just like, you just have to choose yourself and think a lot.
I love it. I hope for you just a season of continuing to love yourself the way that you are, and continuing to show up as your ideal parent for little Heather, and love on that inner child version of you. And just for you to continue to relax into receiving love and letting love and intimacy, letting that all be safe and natural, into creating a new normal for you as the securely attached Heather, because you're so worthy of that. So worthy. Yeah.
And then I think one of the other things is that, like, I know that a lot of your clients probably have also had therapy. I had therapy too for years. But the difference with coaching and therapy is it just hits another level of talking through, why are you doing this? And like, this is what I'm seeing, and be giving you that, like I said, the tough love you need.
Yeah. The directness,
yes.
Hey, you are here, you want to be here, so this is what you need to do. Like, so kind of just the clear path.
Yeah, and just saying, like, this is totally, at the end of my sessions with Kathleen, you've come so far, and like, I didn't think I did, but you see how, like, you would have reacted in certain situations, and she just points out to you, like, you've done so much work.
I love that. Yeah, and I think, both of us being in the clinical field, being in mental health, can understand how awareness is such a key thing. And I love therapy for awareness. And then, yeah, just realizing how beneficial it is to have coaching, so you can get more of that direct, tough love, having, a structured plan for moving forward. I think is so helpful. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing to do. And a lot of our clients, they've either done therapy for a really long time, or they're even still in therapy while they come and work with us. And it's a really great pairing to have both.
Oh, it was great. Yeah.
So thanks for bringing that up. I love that, especially to talk to someone else who's in mental health.
Thank you so much.
Heather, you are awesome. I just love you. I love your story. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, and thanks for all the work you do and all the women you've helped, and bringing in all these amazing coaches, and like, just the program's grown so much over the years. I love to see it.
Yes, it is. It's amazing. I can't believe, we're almost at over 600 clients that we've been able to help, that just blows my mind. And yeah, thank you to my incredible team, because I certainly could not do it by myself. So I'm really fortunate to have an awesome team. Heather, I ask every guest this question. You might already know. If you're walking down the street, someone comes up to you, they ask you for your best life advice of the moment, what would you say?
Right now, I would say the only person you need is yourself. Like, the only you need to be there for yourself. And if anybody isn't seeing your worth, then they need to go. Because you don't need that in your life.
Oh, good. Yeah, you hear me say a lot that a relationship is simply a multiplier. It's not going to fill a void, but it will multiply the love you have for yourself. But if you don't have that foundation, then a relationship's just going to add chaos and pain. So I love that you said that. Yep. Show it for yourself first. So good.
You have to. And then love is a multiplier, and like, you don't realize that until you're in a good place. You're like yourself, and then bring somebody else in, and it's just the right person. Yeah.
So good. I'm so excited for you, Heather.
Thank you.
All right. And thank you so much for joining us. This is such a special episode. I know everyone's gonna love it. If people want to connect with you, do you have a way for them to do that?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram. Single Taco Heather is my handle. But yeah, if there's anybody local that wants to connect, or not local, I'm happy to talk. If anybody has questions about the program, I'm happy to talk to them too.
I love that, and we'll put that in the show notes as well. I'm just so grateful for you coming on and being our guest today. Thank you so much, Heather.
Thank you. Thanks for everything, and just I'm just so grateful for you and the program, and I love to follow your story still, and I wish you the best too.
Thank you. Thank you. And of course, as always, from Heather and myself, we're wishing you high self-worth and great relationships. Until next time.